Well, I hate to disappoint you. By now you should understand. If I'm too much of a woman, boy, you're too little of a man.
Yes, welcome to another episode of M&B TV, where we love to shine a light on the best of those who are moving the needle in the 757 and surrounding areas. Today on M&B Media TV, I'll be your guest host, Carla Turner, and we have award-winning singer and songwriter, Roberta Lea. Thank you so much for being on M&B Media TV.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Roberta, we believe that everyone has their own unique journey of how they want to navigate through life. And so here we are to talk about your journey. Mm-hmm. Now, I know we have something in common.
Yes, we do.
We are both from the city of Norfolk, Virginia. Mm-hmm. We both attended Rosemont Middle School.
Yes, we did.
Even different years now.
Yeah.
I'm a little,
just a little bit.
I'm a little more seasoned.
Okay, not too much, not too far, but we around there.
Yeah, I think when you came through, I might have been a teacher over there.
Okay.
Yes. And also Norview High School.
Yes.
So I am so interested. How does a young lady from my neighborhood, how do you decide country, especially when everybody would think hip hop, rap, R&B?
Yeah.
What would make you choose country?
It's interesting. Sometimes I wonder if, did I choose country or did country choose me type of? That's been my experience. I started to do open mics. I started to play. I was writing my music. I had a piano at home that my husband had bought me when we got married, and I would write my songs to piano. But when it came to going to open mics and trying to perform them, it was a little inconvenient to try to lug a big old keyboard everywhere. So I started to switch to guitar. And as I started switching to guitar, I started writing to guitar. And it kind of just took on the style on its own. And I would just listen to the feedback really from other people. People would listen to my songs. They're like, man, you got like a country vibe to you. And someone actually coined the term country neo-pop.
Ooh.
Yeah, shout out to my friend Josh Sanders, and he was like, "You got like country, like if NDRE was country." And so I'm getting this feedback from other people, and I released a couple of songs. I released "Remarkable Lady." I released "King Size," and people are like, "Oh, Roberta's doing country," and I'm like, "I'm not trying to do country. I don't know. I didn't." So when I write songs, I don't think about it. I don't make a conscious decision to say this song is going to be R&B, or this song is going to be country, or this song is going to be pop. I write a song, and however it gets expressed when I produce it is how it comes out. And it seems as though country just felt a little more at home for me.
Well, tell me a little bit about it feeling at home. It sounds like you're saying that your songs have a life of their own.
Yeah.
And so tell me about where you think that life originated for you.
I think a lot of it leans into storytelling. My family, my mom, my dad, they're big storytellers. Now that I visit them for the holidays and I'm a little bit more aware of it, they are storytellers. My dad loves history. My mom, and with the music and the jazz, and you know, if she has a little weekend, she would tell me all about her weekend and all these details. They are really great at telling stories. And so I was a teacher for a little while. I taught at Lake Taylor High School in Booker T, Washington. Shout out to the Titans and to the Bookers. And that was a natural expression for me, is to explain things, right? And to help my students understand and tell stories like my parents told stories. So when you look at the genre of country music, that's a key component in country music, is 3 chords and the truth, they call it. That storytelling component that a lot of genres started with. And as the genre started to move through the machine of the music industry, it's like, okay, well, what sells? And the blues, country, gospel, R&B was, and hip hop in the beginning was extremely heavy in storytelling. So all of those things are like true to popular American music. And country is one of the few genres that's still holding on to that element. And so that's how I feel like, that's how I felt a little bit more at home in that space.
Well, I know before the interview, we talked a little bit about your great-grandmother and how we become a legacy.
Yeah.
And how dreams and desires and just how we are actually a recreation of what came before us. Tell me I just was so fascinated by that, just about your great-grandmother.
Yeah, I really do believe there's a picture of my great-grandmother that's been around. I've seen it a million times since I was a little girl. It's just a classic picture that's in that like sepia, like black and white sort of style. And I've seen this picture a million times. She's standing in front of a microphone with a guitar. I always saw that picture. And that's my great-grandma. And I never paid it any mind until 2019, 2020. I remember we were visiting my uncle. He would have this big birthday party for my baby cousin, and we're all up there, and he has those pictures family pictures all on the wall. And that was around the time that I really started to pursue music and say that I'm gonna give this a shot, when I really decided and really made a decision and said, no, I'm gonna do this. I'm tired of like having one foot in, one foot out, and not making up my mind. So I remember it was around that time, like I made up my mind. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I gotta figure this out. And there we are, we're up there, and I'm looking at the family pictures, and oh, look at so-and-so when they're a baby. And I see that picture. Like, oh my God. That picture, I've seen it a million times. That is my truth. And I do believe there is, scientifically, that's not like my space, but there has been some notes that I've seen where they talk about your cells maintaining memory, right? And of course we get our genetics from our mothers and our mothers' mothers and our mothers' mother, right? And so the possibility and just the idea that the desires of my great-grandmother, whatever that looked like for a Black woman in the 1930s, traveling and trying to do music, found its way to me when I was an egg inside my mother, who was an egg inside her mother, who was an egg inside her mother, yes, right?
Yes.
It's absolutely fascinating. And all this time I saw that picture, and it just didn't dawn on me until I finally made that decision. And I looked at it, I said, it was there the whole time. And I really do believe that. I believe that our desires, our goals, our dreams are not our own, but they're a constant manifestation, remanifestation of everyone who's come before us.
So how does that memory, seeing that picture, propel you forward in this business where you're an anomaly?
Yeah.
Is that connection between her and you help you, remind you?
Oh, there's work that needs to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, there's something that needs to be completed. And her journey in the 1930s, there were a number of reasons why it could not come to full fruition, right? And I'm sure we could put all the pieces together, whether it be, you have depression over here, and war over there, and discrimination over here, and racism over there, and sexism here, and all that kind of stuff. So there were a number of obstacles in her way. And so for whatever reason, for those reasons, not just whatever reason, but for a number of those reasons, there was a pause in that expression of music. And although she passed away in the sense of being hardware that had expired, she created new hardware through her daughter and her daughter's daughter and her daughter's daughter, right? And so eventually the cells maintain that memory. And I was like, wait. Wait a second. I know. One day I pick up that guitar and my cells are like, oh, I know what this is.
Yes.
I know what this is. I know what to do with this. Right? And so for me, that connection with my great-grandmother is I am the to be continued. Right? the sequel, if you will.
I have to ask this, and I'm gonna look at the other questions
Okay.
because he can edit anything I say, any
Okay.
pauses I have, he can edit out.
Yep.
How do you think you making a decision to pursue country music and you don't look, even though now we see that there are more artists who are pursuing country music, how do you think this impacts your daughter? Not as a singer, but just as a person who believes that she can do anything, that she can pursue anything, that she's not defined by what other people see when they see her, that she creates. How do you think that influences just watching you? Because I've seen your daughter at performances.
Okay.
Watching you. How do you think that impacts her?
Well, I certainly hope that it instills in her the audacity. You know, I want her to know that she belongs in any room that she sets her mind to. And that there are going to be obstacles, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be plenty of people who don't think you belong there. And that doesn't have anything to do with the assignment that you have to complete. It doesn't have anything to do with that, right? All of the rooms that my great-grandmother could not enter into, all of the opportunities that she was not afforded, right? That didn't have anything to do with her seat later on, right? It's like, okay, it didn't happen here, but we could give it another shot later. And the difference between my generation and my daughter's generation, or whatever experience that she's going to have, there's going to be that much more of opportunity, that much more of freedom for her to pursue, no matter what it is that she decides to go for.
I like that word you use, audacity. I think more of us need that.
Yeah.
I think that that's what motivates us to continue. So tell me, personally, we talked about the challenges your great-grandmother faced in the 1930s, being an artist. What do you think are challenges that Black artists in country music today face?
So I think as a Black artist in the genre today, there are a lot of times in which I could write a song that is straight down the middle. I mean, 3 chords, story, twang. It is a country song. And for whatever reason, powers that be, people with influence, will hear my music and say, oh, but you're kind of more R&B. And it's like, well, it sounds exactly like this song on the radio that you're playing in country. One of the challenges that a lot of Black artists that are in genres that it's very hard to express, because American music is Black music. Like we have influenced every single branch of popular American music. That includes rock and roll. That includes country music.
Yes, it does.
Okay. That includes dance and everything is ours. We can lay claim to. But no matter what genre that you decide that they say is outside of the box for African Americans, there just is this desire to just say, no, you're hip hop or you're R&B. That's where you belong. And it's like, no, I'm trying to tell you, like, it's a country song. So the challenge for Black artists in country music and in these other genres is proving ourselves and not having the freedom and flexibility that other artists get to experience. What do I mean by that? Chris Stapleton is one of my, people love Chris Stapleton. I love Chris Stapleton. Their songwriting, vocalizations, everything. And he can be as soulful and as R&B as he wants. There's a lot of songs where I'm like, that's a little more on the R&B side. That's a little more on the soulful side. but he gets to be considered country. I'll never forget listening to Patsy Cline, okay, Virginia girl. And I was diving into the country music world. So I was listening and catching up on all the standards. So I'm listening to Patsy Cline, who is this queen of country music I've heard, and I'm listening to her songs. I'm like, that's pop. That is pop. that is a pop song. I listen to another song. I'm like, that's jazz. I would listen to the Carter family, which is considered the first family of country music. This is where popular American country music all began, is the Carter family, right? I believe right in Bristol, Virginia, and this is where it all started. And I'm like, that's gospel. That they are singing a gospel song. They are singing about Jesus. They are singing a gospel song, and they get to be called country. But when War and Treaty has a gospel undercurrent because of their big voices, they have a natural gospel undercurrent. But they're singing country songs. They're singing three chords and the truth. But because of that natural undercurrent, they're like, oh, they're not country. They're this. Oh, no, you're not. Just because Brittany Spencer has some runs and some fluidity in her vocals. Oh, so that is the challenge that Black artists face in these different genres, is our expression of the genre gets picked apart, and they use it as an excuse to exclude us. Versus when another artist does it, it's innovative. It's something different. Oh, this is fun. This is new. This is exciting. And they get number ones on the radio. And so, without getting into all of the things, that would be the best. That would be the best explanation for those challenges.
I think as I sat and listened to you talk about the challenges, and you see kind of this mass exodus into country music by Black artists, the interest in country music. How do you think that will impact the historical roots, which are very strong? Being someone who loves music and loves museum, and having gone to Nashville, if we look for the history isn't shy about the figures, but it's not put out there mainstream. Do you think that just this mass exodus will help revive the history of the people who look like you and I, who were in country music before it was popular?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the best things on Beyonce's record is her feature of Linda Martell, who was the first Black woman to chart country music charts back in the 1960s. And I believe the first Black woman to have performed on the Grand Ole Opry. And so her presence on Beyonce's album was a huge deal because the world didn't know who Linda Martell was. She came, and then she was easily forgotten and swept underneath the machine of the industry. So I think that this Black country music renaissance has definitely given platform to discuss the historical figures and the contributions that we've made to country music. There just needs to be a consistency. Like, we just got to keep being consistent.
And who do you feel that the responsibility of that consistency falls on?
There are a lot of roles, a lot of parts that people play. So as the artists, of course, we're the faces of the conversation. But then there are labels, there are other industry executives, that there are, for example, BET has a great opportunity to start providing platform for country music.
Wow.
Right? And so it's a matter of all of those spaces. I have my way of organizing myself as an artist. And so I call it the 3 Ps. You have product, you have press, then you have performances, right? And so you create your product, you record, you get pressed to talk about your product, and then you perform your product. And so when we're talking about Black contribution to country music in the grand scheme of things, well, we have Black artists that are creating this product. We need Black press, right? Essence Magazine, BET, etc. The African American Museum of History, and all of these different spaces to talk about it and to create a buzz around it. And then we need those places to create platforms, give us opportunity to perform, right? And to keep it going and not be just a little spark, a little fad, a little something that Beyonce did. Beyonce's gonna do country. She probably might do rock next. We don't know, right? She is just the icon of her generation. She's gonna do. We need systems in place that are going to maintain that support well beyond Beyonce, well beyond the artists that are gonna come and go.
Wow. I hope that anyone who hears this interview, you lay it out beautifully. how it needs to be structured, how to keep this going. There are so many reasons why what you're saying is important, because like you said, it's storytelling. We need to hear, if there wasn't another time, if there wasn't a time in history where we needed to hear these stories, is now. And a lot of time that's where change came. It came in the music. Understanding came in the music. And so we definitely need that today. Let me see. You're not only a recording artist, but you're also a children's book author. Where did that inspiration come from?
Kinky Curly Fuzzy Wavy. Shout out to Demia Lindsay Mitchell, who is the author. I got to co-author the book with her. And I met her at Booker T. And it was like one of those conversations that happen. You feel like you've known that person for your entire life. And so she was telling me about the creative project she was working on. I was telling her the creative things, and she shared with me this book idea that she had. And as a songwriter, I read her draft and I said, as a songwriter, I need like the Dr. Seuss vibes. I need the rhythm. I need like something to follow along. And so I asked her that day, I said, do you mind if I take it and like work on expressing it the way I kind of see how it's flowing? And so she gave me full permission to do that. And by the time I got it back to her, it was just a fun, beautiful rhythm. And it was something that was important to me because my daughter was small at the time. She was around 4 or 5 years old. And I've had tough conversations with her where she wanted to change her outward appearance to something that she assumed was more valuable, right? And she wanted her hair straight all the time, and she wanted, right? And so I had to take that opportunity to speak to her. And when that opportunity to create that book, to co-create that book with Demia, came about, it seemed like it all kind of just, all the stars aligned. And that's how we ended up expressing a little message to not only just my daughter, but other little Black girls who need to feel proud of the crown that they have on their heads.
Wow. Like you said before, it's in the stories. A lot of lessons are in the stories. A lot of ways that will reach people, particularly young people. It's in the stories.
I think storytelling is a lost art. It's a lost art.
I think so. We've seen some of the plots of the current things that are going on. We've seen some of the plots. So, let's see here. What's next for Roberta Lea in 2025? What do you have coming up?
2025, I'm hoping to get into my collaborator bag.
Okay.
Is what I'm looking forward to. The last 3 years have been quite a roller coaster in a very beautiful way. And I want to start zeroing in on the connections that I've made and the people that I've met along the way. And I look forward to collaborating with other artists, collaborating with producers, and creating that momentum again. So 2025 is all about connecting, making those connections in the community, and creating something beautiful out of it.
Now, I do have a question that says, what would you say to a young person to inspire them? But I think I'm going to change it a little bit.
Okay.
What would you say to a young person about the importance of collaboration? We throw that word around a lot, but I don't think we really get the value of what that really means. What would you tell a young person about collaboration?
There's a proverb, I think it might be an African proverb. I'm sorry, I can't quote exactly where I got it from. But it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. We are an extension of one another. I would tell a young person, you cannot be in every room. It's physically impossible. Physically, financially, right? You cannot be everywhere. When you collaborate with people, they have the opportunity to mention your name in rooms that you may not be able to step in. Prime example, my engineer is a 7-time Grammy nominated engineer. He works with, he mentions casually, and I'm not gonna say the artist, but he mentions so casually, oh yeah, so-and-so, I'm doing these tracks, or I'm scoring for this person, this humongous person, right? That you would die like to get an opportunity, a chance to work with them, right? And that's just, I'm doing this for them, and artists nowadays are very DIY. You can get inexpensive studio equipment, set it up in your room. You can get your little instruments here and there, and you could, it may not be great, but you could write on your own, record on your own, and release all by yourself. I could do that. I have a studio at home. I have a little sound booth. I have my piano, I have my guitar, I have the plugins, I have all the things. I could do most of that by myself. And I could go on YouTube and figure out how to mix it myself and figure out how to master myself to save myself a couple of dollars. That's fine. But when I look at that in comparison to spending the extra money and getting quality work made at a studio by a 7-time Grammy nominated engineer and getting that work done and the network that he has, well, how many people am I going to reach here versus how many people I'm going to reach just the two of us? Just the two of us now. He's in rooms that I haven't got. I'm not Grammy nominated yet, so I haven't gotten in those rooms yet, but he has, right? And so just that one pairing, so I don't have to sit here and go to 50 different studios and work with 50 different producers. Just one engineer could lead to who knows what's next, right? And so that's what I would tell young people. I'm like, your friends and your network are an extension of you. They're going to be saying your name in rooms when you can't be there. And in order to jumpstart that kind of energy, and in order to begin that kind of exchange, is for you to mention their names when you're in rooms that they can't be in, right? That this is a mutual, you feed each other mutually. And that's the power of collaborating that people don't understand, is extension. You're trying to reach something, and you reaching up to the ceiling, you can't reach it. But if you get on top of somebody's shoulders, now you have access.
You've beautifully explained. Even trees that we see.
Yeah.
It started with a bird, an animal who had a seed from a tree that went to another place and planted. And it's like,
it's an ecosystem.
Yes.
Collaboration is the ecosystem.
Yes.
an ecosystem works so well together,
Yes.
right? The sunlight, the rain, the ocean, the precipitation, like it all works together to create growth. A seed cannot grow all on its own.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell us, how can people find you on social media?
People can look me up. I am Roberta Lea, spelled Lea. If you spell it with an E, that is not me. I am RobertaLea.com. I am Roberta Lea on Instagram and Facebook and all the things. And they can find me online and reach out and connect. Absolutely.
Yes. Listen, connect for music, connect for speaking engagements, because you're an amazing orator.
Thank you.
Amazing. So y'all look, check her out for
check
out for everything, all of the above, all things.
All the things, absolutely.
Well, we have enjoyed our time with this interview. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself today.
Same.
I just wish you all of the best. I'm excited to see how you pollinate. Yes.
Same.
How you get in all those rooms.
Yeah.
Make sure everybody look up Roberta Lea on all social media outlets. Remember, it's Lea.
Lea.
Roberta Lea. And check out this beautiful woman's music.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time.
Check out Too Much of a Woman. The album is officially out. It's been out.
Yeah. Before we do we can do an outro. You know, that's how we do on the fly when we're on the interview. We're gonna have an outro. We're gonna have an outro. You think you could just give us a little bit on the outro? A little something, something.
A little something. Okay, check out Too Much of a Woman. The song goes, if I'm too much of a woman, you can kindly step aside. A true king can handle me. He's got what it takes inside. Well, I hate to disappoint you. By now you should understand. If I'm too much of a woman, boy, you're too little of a man.
Well, all right.
Okay.
Well, all right now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. This was incredible.